I'm your host, Sharada Devi, of the Born to Be Free podcast that serves as a bridge between the ancient and the new era, a confluence of opposites where all is seen as sacred and every experience is meant to catapult you into your supreme destiny. Welcome to another episode of the Born to Be Free podcast. I'm Sharada Devi, your host, and I'm very happy to introduce you, Razwana Ananda Devi. I want to give you a little bit of a background of how we met and how I had the desire, why I had the desire to invite her. Because her story is so beautiful, so touching, so moving, so inspiring, and so needed to be told. So Razwana is originally from Scotland, born and raised in Scotland, but from parents who have immigrated from Pakistan originally. So mom and dad are both from Pakistan, but then they moved to Scotland where she grew up. And so she has this beautiful Scottish accent also that I find so sexy and beautiful. I love the Scottish accent. And when we met, she was living in New Zealand. It was New Zealand, I think, yes, and just broke up or just was at a very poignant time of her life, was in a long-term relationship. She moved actually to New Zealand because of a man with whom she was together for a long time, and then they separated. And that's when she came into my life, into Devi School, and she joined the Heroine Journey, 3 months Women's Circle Facilitator course that I led many, many times successfully and beautifully. And we have many Devi Goddess Circles facilitator around the world. And she was one of them who joined. And then she actually continued doing my whole Empress program. She was one of the empresses doing the Living Wisdom Teacher and the Rising Witch and the Muse, the Devi coaching, the Trauma Informed Sacred Sexuality coaching certification, the Rainier Queendom. And she just dove into all the programs that I had. And it was just so inspiring to have her, to have you in my programs, because you see, like, she's this like bright sunshine with this huge smile, so inspiring, so passionate about what she does, her life. And she was dedicated. She's like, this moment is not gonna break me. I mean, it may have broken me in a way, and broken me open, but I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise like a phoenix. And she did. And then she continued with everything that she had learned. She went like full into the coaching world and trained with many, many incredible coaches and mentors. And now she is a holistic life coach and helping people, and especially women, to find their orgasms, to find the love of their life, to find abundance, helping in the money, wealth accumulation, or really ultimately helping finding worthiness to attract abundance. And she just told me right now in our introduction that she also found a new love for trees. And I'm really curious about hearing about that connection with the trees. And not only that, she also then found, or I don't know if found is the right word, but now is in a very beautiful, deep, loving relationship with an incredibly beautiful man. And they just bought a house together. And so there's so much that has happened in your life. And I'm so happy that you're here. And one more thing that is very important that I haven't mentioned is that she's also a Vedanta student. So many of you that have listened to Born to Be Free podcast, or if you're here the first time, the Born to Be Free podcast is very much inspired also by the Vedantic teachings, the teachings that give moksha, freedom. It's a timeless body of knowledge that has been passed down from generation to generation, and is, we call it, a means of knowledge in the form of words, a sacred mirror in the form of words, to recognize oneself as limitless, whole, and complete here and now. So she also has a teacher. Her name is Ganga Devi, in the same lineage that I come from Pujya Swami Dayananda Saraswati. And I think that's how you also heard of me at time and came into my world. So warm welcome, Razwana Ananda. I'm so happy you're here.
Oh, thank you, Sharada Devi. It's really such a blessing to be on your podcast. And no joke, I was listening to one of your episodes recently with Amanda Devi, and she was interviewing you, and I was like, I want to be on Sharada's podcast. I honestly, I put that intention out, and then you contacted me, and I was like, yes, thank
Wow.
you, Devi. Thank you, Devi. But yeah, I have so much gratitude for your program, your teachings, and your containers. And yeah, like you say, I met you. I had heard of you through, I can't even remember exactly who it was from, but from from someone amongst us, I'd spent some time in Ashwini Gurukulam. I met some the other Vedanta students, and your name had come up. And then, yeah, I emigrated to New Zealand with my husband at the time, and we'd been together 17 years, and we sold our house, and we sent everything on a ship over, and this was during COVID. So this was only 5 years ago, really. It was 2020. And we moved over. He was the one that wanted to
Oh,
move.
you mean only in
I said,
COVID you moved from Scotland to New Zealand?
yeah,
Okay, I didn't
yeah.
understand that. Yeah, you're okay.
Yeah, it
Mm.
was only 5 years ago. So yeah, that was the
Yeah.
time we moved, and
Right,
it was his doing. He was like,
right.
"Let's go, let's go, let's go," and I was like, "Oh, okay." So I did, and I loved it, and I had a great time. But he didn't, and he became quite depressed. And then he said, "Oh, I don't think our relationship's very good," and I was like, "What, really?" And then before I knew, he was leaving, and he was leaving not only the country but me. And that's, as you say, that's what almost broke me. And I was depressed. I was really sad. And I remember even trying I threw myself into things. I threw myself into exercise and my work and different hobbies, and they were okay for a point, but they didn't really help. And I even had some counseling sessions, and I just found they didn't understand me. Like, I think as a Vedanta, you think very differently as a student of these teachings. And yeah, they just didn't get me. And then I saw that you were running this program soon, the Heroine's Journey. And I was like, that is just what I want. And it came at exactly the right time. It was definitely for me when I was, yeah. So, and I remember it being quite hard to actually invest, because I was like, oh, I'm on my own. Can I do it? Can I spend the money? And I realized, yeah, I'm worth it. Like, why am I thinking twice? And it was so good. It was so, so good, Sharada. The content, the support, the women that I met, and I was surprised how deep we went. We've made lifelong friendships.
Mm.
Like, there's a few people, I don't want to mention their names because I don't have permission, but there's some people who are so strongly connected
Mm.
to that, I've met them in other countries. Like, I met one of them in England, one of the other students, we keep chatting, and yeah, we're so close on a heart level,
Mm.
because we all went through this very amazing journey.
Mm.
Um, it's such a feminine journey. That's what I loved about it, because I feel like I was way too much in the masculine, and there was so much negativity around really being a woman, and really knowing what that was again. I used to have, I don't know if I've told you this, but I used to have terrible, terrible period pains. They used to be debilitating, and I would sometimes have to call an ambulance.
Oh,
And
wow.
so it was like a 10 out of 10 pain. And I had that for years. I had it pretty much most of my life. And if I took ibuprofen, it was okay if I caught it in time. But occasionally I'd be caught without it, and then I would be lying on the floor, and people, yeah, it was not a nice thing. During the heroine's journey, I thought, do you know what? Let me try and not take the medication. Let's see what happens. And I had pain-free periods. So
I
I was
remember that
able,
actually. Yes, I do. Yeah.
yeah, I was able to come off that I'd been on for years. And in fact, I was kind of resentful to myself. I was like, why didn't I do this earlier? I'd never been diagnosed, but it was something like endometriosis. It was just very, very high pain, and mm, yeah, it wasn't, no one really understood what it was,
Mm.
and no one really investigated it, but it's gone. It
Yeah, that
went.
come back.
Oh, I have had, if I've been really stressed, it
Right.
will I'll feel it in my time of the month, but really, no, it's gone. I don't take the ibuprofen anymore. I
Yeah.
don't take any of those.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's been huge. And yeah, it was so, so beautiful. And then yes, I was all in. I was just like, whatever you're doing, I'm gonna do it for the year. You just tell me and I'll be there. And you know, I have to admit, I don't know if you know this, but I didn't know what life coaching was. And what part of your news program was to become a coach as well. And I didn't care. I had no idea what I was just doing it. I was just like, yeah, Sharada said, come do this, so I'll do it. Sharada says, jump, I'll jump. And I did it all, and it was amazing. And I love, love, love the programs. I love all the witchiness. I love the sex magic. It was just so beautiful. I can't explain it. I really, really loved it all. And yes, when I came out being a life coach, I was like, oh, I'm a life coach now. Maybe I should use it. Oh, what shall I do now with it? And that was kind of the end of my year with you. And that's when I met my next mentor, his name is Richmond Dean. He's a man now, but I think he always was a man. Wrong. Sorry, Richmond. But what I meant is I've gone from the feminine back to the masculine. But I have a lot of gratitude for the mentors I've ended up with, because I hear stories about people not liking their teachers, or learning about them and finding out they're like not great people, or there's something about them. And I've been so grateful, like, you're a Vedika, so you're like beautiful, open heart, always compassionate, very, very honest. So I've always felt so safe with you, and the way that you hold people, it's always blown me away. And yeah, there's like there's not even the ounce of jealousy. Like, whereas, and Richmond, I have to say, he's got a lot of these qualities as well, and he wants his students to make more money than him. He's like, that is a sign of a good teacher, that you want your students to excel, to progress. They're like your children, right?
Yeah.
So I feel very fortunate. Richmond is a very humble person. He used to be an optician, and it's Chinese descent, and he lives in Australia. But he's doing so well now. He's in Russell Brunson's inner circle. He's making millions. He's put out $1 million offers. At the same time, his feet are grounded.
Wow.
And he's just a good person. He's not all full of himself. So yeah, I feel really grateful that I've had these mentors. And yeah, it's since leaving you and going into that circle, I learned NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming. That's been amazing, and I've been helping in some trainings, and it's a very different way of coaching, but it all works very well together. So lots of like reframing and timeline therapy to clear the past, and just more and more tools. So I've been using that, and I feel like I'm one of these people, I go in and I keep learning. So I've done DiMartini, I've done Joe Dispenza, and we've been talking about Alison
Armstrong.
Armstrong. Yes, I came across her, and I ate up her books, and I know that you're training with her, and she's part of your programs now, which is amazing. So yeah, I'm also training. I've trained with a woman called Sarah McCrum, who wrote a book called I Love Money, Money Loves You. And this is all about abundance and making money and Lakshmi, and that's a repeating lesson. It's something that I'm continuing to learn about and share with the women. Yeah. So I'm now working with women. When I started coaching, actually, I helped divorce women, because that was where I came from. And it was very nourishing, but also quite harsh. It was hard. It was such a difficult time. And then when I met my partner, I stepped into helping women attract their ideal man. And that's just been so much fun and playful. And I use a system that worked for me. And I'll tell you about that in a minute.
Yeah.
And then
Can you tell us a
now,
little bit?
yeah. Well, how I tell my story about that is when I have a list. So
Mhm.
I don't know, every woman who's looking for a man, she tends to write a list. And on my list, I had tall, dark, handsome, professional, is, wants to grow, wants to develop himself. And then I had a little caveat, which unless you're a Vedika or a Vedic student, you wouldn't understand. But I had the qualities from the Bhagavad Gita. Is it chapter 13? Amanitam, Adambitam, Ahimsa, Kshanti. So I had these qualities on my list.
Wow.
So yeah, so these qualities, if you don't know much about them, they're so beautiful. They're basically absence of pride, they're accommodation, they're ahimsa, like non-hurting, just being loving for people. And when with a teacher, it's unfolded in you in a way that you understand that these values, it's not like the commandments. It's not like, do this or don't do this and you go to hell or you go to heaven. It's nothing like that. You just grow in them as you mature, as you start to understand that you are Tattvamasi, you are love, you are oneness. And these, of course, why would I hurt anybody? Because you are me, I am you. we
Mm.
are we are together. So there's
Mm.
so much growth in understanding these beautiful values. So it's in my list that I had these, and I think you can have anything in the list that you're working on, right? None of us are perfect. We're just all in a beautiful journey. And so when I started dating, like many women, I was like on the apps, and I thought, "Ugh, is that all that's out there? They're like, guys after just one thing, or they're people who just, haven't looked after themselves most of their life." And I was just like, "Oh, I'm not interested." And then I went away and I did more personal development. I actually did a lot of NLP. I did something called timeline therapy, which helps clear a lot of the past. And then I would go dating again. I'd look on the apps and I'd be like, the guys are a little bit better. And I was just like, I have a few dates and I would just, close the shop again. And go, didn't find what I'm looking for. And then I would do more personal development and then, some more timeline, more healing, more work. And then I would date again. And the guys were like better still. I was like, oh, okay, there's much more I like about them, much more. And then it was about 2 years ago around Christmas time when I had a lot of time, right? I didn't have much to do around Christmas. I was on my own. So I did a lot of the sacred sexuality work. I did my yoni egg. I had my orgasms. I did my self-pleasure. And, I had done more and more personal development. And then that's when I had like, I live in a fairly small town. There's not a lot of people. There's not a lot to do. But unintentionally, I had 5 dates in 10 days. And it just happened. And the men were coming out of the woodwork and they were like much better. And they were mostly, I really liked them. And then it was maybe like one thing I was like, well, not sure. And then the fifth date was actually someone I met in a party, and he was a friend of a friend. And Sharada, he's everything on my list, like everything. Really, and he's such a beautiful person inside as well as outside. I was like, okay, I found what I was looking for. So that's
Wow.
how it happened.
Wow.
And it's beautiful. And we have a love relationship. We're both growing, we're both learning, and we have a couple meeting
Mhm.
once a month. And we have shared goals and we have individual goals, and we sit down and how can I support you? How can you support me? And what should we do together this month? And it's just, we have such a relationship of growth. And sometimes he's really busy and stressed, and sometimes I'm really busy and stressed, but we just hold space for each other and
Mm.
do what we can, and give each other the space when we're having that difficult time, and
Mm.
doing what we can for each other. So I'm really really grateful. He's like a local, he's Maori, so he has all that beautiful culture, where they're
Mm.
very connected with nature, very connected to their songs and their traditions and their
Oh.
language. And
Mm.
yeah, so it's really gorgeous. So I'm getting to see that world, and he's getting to see my world as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. Yeah,
Wow.
that's how that happened.
So beautiful. It warms my heart, and every time I see a post, and it touches me so deeply because like the commitment, how you showed up, and especially like you stayed, you were invested, you didn't give up. Because
Mhm.
you said now you went on many dates, right? And I can imagine that there has been moments where you felt maybe disencouraged, or moments you wanted to give up, or and also I know often that then like this the talk comes in like, okay, it's just not gonna happen. And then the possibility of actually not honoring what is on the list, and then maybe compromise,
Mm.
or setting going down with the standards, we can say that, right? And to really
Yeah,
stay on track, to not
yeah,
compromise those values, those points, and you didn't wait. Like every time you went deeper into self-development. So there's so many lessons that anyone that is listening can can receive here, so many pearls of wisdom, because that's where the key lies, to just continue and not wait, right? To not going into a wait
yeah,
mode, and instead of that continuing
yeah.
the healing, using all these tools that are there. Yeah.
And there's quite a delicate balance in the
Mm,
energy that you
mm,
want to go dating with. Like, when you've got that energy of like, I must meet someone, that kind of slightly desperate energy.
yeah.
No, no, no. That's going to
Mm,
put people off, and it's not healthy. But
mm,
also that energy where you're like, I'm dating, but you've got a long way to go,
right.
So, or even doing it when you're not in a good mood,
Mm,
like that. So I did little stints of it. For me, I
yeah.
did like a few days or a couple of weeks, and I would stop,
Yeah.
because it can pay its toll, because you very much can be rejected
Yeah,
again and
exactly.
again. You like them, and maybe they don't like you, or vice versa. And it's, you've got to be really confident and happy in yourself. But I do want to tell you about one experience. We'll talk about orgasms again. So I really, when I was single, I got really into my self-pleasure, because, I'm not going to wait for someone else to give it to me. This is my pleasure to have. And I remember having the most amazing cervical orgasm, and it was like golden fireworks. And I was like, whoo. And then there's this serotonin rush, like, if you've ever taken drugs, it's like coming up on ecstasy or MDMA. You're like, and then I remember lying there going, if I was with a man, then I would be saying it's because of this man that I
Yeah.
have this good feeling. But because I was on my own, I was able to just hug myself and go, I love myself. And so I just took it all in for myself.
Mm,
And that was a very strong lesson, because really when I was dating, I'm not needing anyone to give me anything or do anything for me. There's not a, co-neediness where there's like a, I need you for this and you need me for that. And it just tends to end in narcissistic relationships. And it's just not healthy when you're fully content in yourself sexually and spiritually. Then when somebody comes, you're like, great, you're amazing. I'm amazing. Let's be amazing together. Let's lift each other. But I also feel like being a Vedanta student and really understanding that you are whole, that you are perfect, pure, whole. There's nothing that you need, is also a beautiful energy to go into a relationship with, or be single. Like, you don't have to anything, but I feel relationships can give you so much growth, learning, joy,
mm,
that we should go for them. And I meet many women who've just been burned in relationships, and
mm.
just it's been so painful that they just shut down. shut everything down, shut their hearts, shut their yoni, shut their lives, and they miss out on so much because they're like, oh no, I don't need that anymore. And it's just a fear of being hurt again. And don't get me wrong, like I was scared of that. And it can always happen. It could happen. Like maybe we'll split, maybe anything will happen. I remember when we just kind of got together and started to get close with my current partner, Teiki, and I got like my heart was racing and I was feeling just scared because you feel you're falling in love, you feel this deep connection, and you're like, well, what if the same thing happens again? What if it all falls apart? What if I waste more of my life with you and or it goes downhill or whatever? And I think, and I was able to express that. I just told him that that was what I was thinking, and it was a beautiful, vulnerable moment because he could see that and he held me and we worked through that. It was beautiful. But a lot of women have that feeling that they have the fear that they're scared and what if this happens, whatever mistake happened before happens again, or you keep attracting the same kind of men. So yeah, it's a big journey, and but it's very satisfying to help women in it. And what I tend to in the outcome of helping women, they either like meet someone or they're just happy on their own.
Right.
They're just happy. Maybe he'll come tomorrow. Maybe he'll come in a few days. It's okay. There's not the kind of pressure
Yeah.
that we sometimes put on ourselves
Yeah.
for that.
Now here's full rain in Mother Bali. I don't know if you can hear it or if the sound is being.
No, you
Oh,
can't
you
hear it.
cannot hear anything. Yeah, it's full rain, so I'm like, "Brrr," the waters are falling as I've been listening to your beautiful story and the teachings that have come through here now. Like so moving, and especially all men and women get to hear that, especially women, yet because we do have this deep imprint and believe that we're only complete with another human being, and the purpose of life, that's why this podcast is called Born to be Free, is to discover that you're free and whole and complete in ourselves, by ourselves. And relationships are perfect for that because they reveal just where we have made this wrong conclusion about ourselves and do not see ourselves in that light. So it's so wonderful that you're helping women to come back home to themselves. And then if they have a man or a partner, wonderful. And if not, then they have risen in love with themselves and can celebrate their own being. And it's been the same for me. So many years I've been on my own. I also got divorced from my husband. And similar to your story, it was extremely excruciatingly painful. And yet I knew that this situation is just revealing that pain that was already there. It wasn't actually because he left. And to know that, what a grace to have teachers and mentors that can point us to that truth. And so when I got divorced, I was celibate for 4 years by myself and taking care of my little one and taking care of my woman and learning and therapy and all the self-pleasure. Like, so self-pleasure in all of this is key so that we can really recognize that pleasure, that fullness, that ananda that we think comes from outside doesn't come from outside. It all comes from here, from this incredible body. Like, that's why I love this woman that was painted by one of my students, Sandra. Like, it's this orgasmic blooming when we discover our essential fullness and the capacity of this body. And we have given all these beautiful zones in our bodies, inside, outside, that can evoke this most beautiful, explosive or gentle, the full spectrum of orgasms. And I'm so happy to hear about your cervical orgasm and then just holding yourself in that moment. It's so, so, so beautiful. It just warms my heart. And yeah, like how we can reclaim and how we're meant to reclaim our power our pleasure and our orgasms as women and men and beings.
I was just gonna say, one thing I really love, and I guess that was what I did as well. I took control of the situation. I just like, I asked him out. I said, "Are you, I was like, I found out he was single, and I was like, really? Okay. You, you actually asked him if he, because he's a builder, and I asked him if he would do some shelves up or something, and then he responded back. He said, "No, it's the Christmas holidays. I don't have my tools for 3 weeks." And I was like, "Oh my God, what am I gonna say now?" So I was like, "Do you want to hang out?" And he was just, that's what the kids, but I love the, like, I love, so this is the kind of dance of the masculine and feminine,
Yeah.
right? That some people think that the woman has to sit back and do
Yeah.
nothing and wait to be asked by
Yeah.
the man, but I don't feel like that's right. Like, we're not pushy. We're not like, get out, come out with me or else. Or it's just like grabbing him by the neck and bringing him to the bedroom, like, maybe later, but not on the first day. But just to be honest
Yeah.
and just to say, this is what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Would you like to explore? And like, and it was beautiful, because otherwise you would have played that dance for a long time.
Yeah.
And if I had done anything, I would have, my perfect man would have eventually been asked out by someone else and said yes. So, you got to take the moves when the universe when the universe provides that. You got to know to take the step. And I think a lot of women are too scared to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Exactly. Yes.
yeah.
Yes, go girl, go women. If there is one that you feel like, go for it. Right? It's so
Yeah.
yeah, great that you are pointing that out. That stigma, do you call it stigma in English?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? That the man should ask the woman out and the woman should lean back and not make the first move. Then that's too masculine, it's too upfront, it's too intrusive. And that
Yeah. And I think and it's interesting when you learn about the masculine and feminine, and like the woman actually does lead. The
yeah,
woman does kind of go, let's go this way. And
exactly.
it's up to him to say yes and plan and create the structure to do that. But yeah, there's so many elements to it, right?
Yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
cool. He's walking in right now.
Wonderful. There he is, the Shiva. You would have been fine without also.
No, yeah. It's just like I wasn't sure
Yeah.
what kind of podcast this was. If people see the video or not. But everyone will watch see the video now. Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful. So
Yeah,
yeah.
lovely.
Mm.
Yeah. Yes, yes. So that's part one. And then there's of course so many
Yeah.
more parts to the continuation of that meeting. And yeah, I'm happy to continue another time. I'd love to now. Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah, bring it back to you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're welcome.
yeah. No, and I love this forth and back. That's really what yeah, the natural conversations and I love that you just brought it out. This sacred story, anyway, was meant to come and so many more things to share. It's been a big journey for me the last few months as well. And
Mm.
very deep, very intense, very beautiful. And yeah, the ever growing canvas of life while
Yes.
remembering in and
Yes.
through we're whole and complete and we're not our stories. And yes,
Yeah.
the growing and the blooming and the maturing continues.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's kind of like when I look back on this year, because I've just reflected on the things that have happened, and it's not like a straight line up,
Mm.
right? There's like you go up and you drop and you go up and you drop, and sometimes you feel like you're going backwards, and then you go round in a circle, and then maybe you go up and down, and but there's so many lessons. For me, it's been it's like money is being an ongoing thing. It's been, my parents didn't have a lot of money growing up. And in fact, I think probably one of the most damaging things was that they always argued about money.
Yeah.
So deep in my subconscious, I had this feeling that it was bad because they argued about it and it was just gave bad energy. And so it was intertangled with that. And then there's all these other limiting beliefs and stories that you're brought up with, like money's bad, money doesn't grow on trees. But money actually is made from paper, which grows on trees. So that is, that's no, of course it grows on trees. Where else does it grow? But
I
then,
love
you know,
that.
yeah,
Yes, it
it's
actually does
true.
grow
It's
from tree.
true.
Yes.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. It's paper. I mean now they're plastic, but yeah, they used to be paper. And the when you see the films, the bad guys, they're always, rich. And I think there was a line in Spider-Man where when the dad says, "Don't worry, son, we don't have a lot, but at least we're good people," insinuating that people with money are bad people. And that's another big stereotype that you're brought up with. And yes, so I've learned a lot around money, about how to manage it in terms of like, what you having different accounts when it comes in, what to do with it, and just like not just putting my head in the sand over it, but actually managing it in a proper way. So that's been an education. I think there's a book called The Barefoot Investor that by Scott Pape that's really nice for that. And there's lots of books out there, but it just helps you understand, okay, your money comes in, you have, keep 60% for your bills. And then with the other 40%, 20 of it goes into like a safety account called a fire extinguisher. 10% is short-term fun. So he calls that the splash account. And then 10% is for long-term fun, like holidays and stuff. So he calls that a smile account. And then, each time your money comes in, you split it up like that. And then, you can always go for coffee. You can always relax and go out because you have some money in that account, but you also know you're paying your bills. And at the same time, you don't have to like run around chasing receipts and adding up and stressing. So getting that into place has helped me buy a house because I wouldn't have been able to afford to buy a house. Wherein 2 years ago, I went to try and see a friend who's a 20-minute drive away. And I got into the car and I didn't have enough petrol and I wasn't going to get paid to the weekend. And I phoned her up and I said, it's never happened to me. I'm a physiotherapist, I'm a professional, I'm a life coach as well, but I can't afford to come and drive and see you. And she's like, "Oh, I'll lend you some money." And I just started
Mm.
crying. And I
Mm.
thought, well, how has this happened to me? Why? How? And so that kind of started my journey into learning about money. So apart from what we just talked about there with the understanding it and knowing what to do about it, there's a lot of limiting beliefs and stories that you have. And some I've just touched on about, money being bad and how my upbringing was. And also there was an event when when I was younger and I'd saved a lot of money and my mum, we were in Pakistan and she had a bag with money and it got stolen. And then because her money got stolen, she said, "Can I have your money?" And I was like, okay, well, I wasn't doing anything with it. But then I lost the money that I had been saving. So I had in my subconscious that there's no point saving money or having money because it will always go.
Mm.
Um, so there's quite a few reasons why my abundance and money story was going in the wrong direction. And then the next thing I came across was this book, Love Money, Money Loves You by Sarah McCrum. And it's a really beautiful book. It's channeled. So it's really like goddess speaking and there's no ego in it whatsoever. And it's really, really beautiful. And it's just money saying, "I want you to love me. I am love. Enjoy me, spend me, have me, take me. This is what I'm here for. Enjoy it." And so one of the understandings is money is infinite. So this is Lakshmi, this is Devi, it's infinite. We have this idea in our head that if we have money, someone else doesn't, and we can only have a little bit, or we're being selfish. But if we understand that money is infinite, then it's silly to not ask for money. It's
Yeah.
silly not to have money because there's so much. Why would you just say, "Oh, do you want this little bit?" You
Mm.
know, it doesn't
Mm.
make any sense. And the more money you have, the more good you can do, right? So this idea that only bad people have money, of course, there's going to be bad people that have money. There's going to be bad people that don't have money. It's just, you know, it's the judgment on whether they're good or bad or whatever. But you know, that is one of, I'm a bit of a visionary. So one of
Mm.
my visions is to help get rid of poverty. It's to
Mm.
help good women have money and do more good in
Mm.
the world. Because, and I'm not being sexist here, but good men as well, you know, the more good people that have money that in, you know, help the world, that do good things with it, the more we can support and love and grow. You know, just imagine, we wouldn't really have wars. We wouldn't really have anything to fight about if we all just really understood
Mm.
that money is is completely infinite. What one of the ways I explain this is, if we, you know, if there's 10 people in a room, we all have maybe $100 or whatever currency you want, and then you give an exchange. You give me this, I give you this. Someone else goes, I give you this, you give me this, and you give me this. And so you see the whole room, the money is flowing. It's coming and going. And every time it moves, that's creating abundance. That's creating financial flow. And so the more integrated you are in life, the more you're able to enjoy giving and receiving. That is the game of life.
Mm. Mm.
And, you know, there's some people who are sitting in the corner going, everything's getting so expensive, I can't afford, life is stressful, and they don't want to play the game anymore, you know, and they're like the ones sitting in the corner with their arms crossed, and they're not playing the game, you know. But this game is here for all of us, you know, the great Leela, the game that we get to play. And I think money is very important because, you know, think about it. If we had all the money we needed, you probably wouldn't get out of bed. You'd probably just lie there and go, oh, everything's fine. You know, so there's no growth in that. But when you're like, okay, it's time for me to make some money. I'm going to offer services. I'm going to help people. I'm going to do more. I'm going to make things that are good for whatever. So it gives us an opportunity to give and receive and do more. So even having like money issues and being short of money is a great blessing.
Mm.
Yeah, a lot of people, they, you know, you can take that to the victimhood and go, not fair. I wasn't born with money. Those people have money. They're more advantaged, you know. But you know, a lot of people have this idea that, you know, there's a big boys club where only some people have money and they don't share it around. But it's because they've learned how to create money. And and I think I hear in the karmic model, like the understanding is that if you come into this world with lots of money, you probably created it in a previous life. Like you
Exactly.
can't just, it doesn't just come from nowhere.
Mm.
It's there because you've produced it, because you've done some karma to
Mm.
create it. So yeah, so that's an ongoing learning that I'm helping women with,
Mm.
and helping myself with, and it's yeah, and yeah, I recommend that book to everyone. So it's Sarah McCrum, and yeah, it's just beautiful because it's just, money is love.
Mm.
It's gratitude. You
Mm.
know, when you receive something, you get a lovely massage, you're
Mm.
like, here, thank you, have
Mm.
this. And so we just forget all that,
Yeah.
and we kind of mirror the beauty of money. And because all the early coins, they had goddesses on them, you know. And in India, money is Lakshmi, right? We have such reverence to the notes and the coins that we would never put it on the floor. We always are so loving to money, to abundance, to Lakshmi. So yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful understanding. And yeah, sometimes we forget. But you can actually create a relationship, a much better relationship with money, and shift your energy if
Mm.
you want to do that. And it's not selfish,
Mm.
and there's nothing wrong with it. Like, we have every right to, you know, the understanding in this book is everybody in the world could be a billionaire or more.
Mm. Mm.
Everyone could. So if you know, if that's what you want, you can do that.
Yeah.
Not to say everybody wants that, but you
Yeah.
know, it could happen if you learn
Yeah.
how to do that. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so
Mhm.
that and so many I just hear so many people and complaining about money and saying there's not enough and having struggles. And the struggles are real. Like I don't want to belittle any of that because many people are like, oh, it's all very well for you to say that, but that's not the reality that I'm experiencing. And it's okay, your reality is your reality, but we can learn and grow and change.
Mm.
Just like we can learn to attract a beautiful man in our life, right? We can learn to have
Mhm.
accept the most beautiful pleasure in our
Mm.
lives. It's stepping into action, the aligned action, and not waiting for things to happen, not just kind of blaming and thinking, oh, it's so hard, and then giving up. It's going, okay, well, how can I try? Like, and this is what life coaching is about, right? Someone else
Exactly.
has done it,
Yeah.
then show me how, right?
Yeah.
Show me the shortcut because I don't want
Yeah.
to have to go through another, 20 years of a bad relationship or spend another 5 years scraping together to make money. I want to know how to do it.
Yeah.
Show me how. So
Yeah.
that's really, really beautiful.
Mm.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. And to receive the support, to ask for the support, to receive, and to have a coach, to have a mentor, to have a teacher. Like, why would we not? Like, I do remember the resistance somewhere far, but then once you're like opening this Pandora box and you realize that, wow, it's so nurturing to have someone guide me, help me learn how to lead myself, be inspired, and we can. There's no shame in that. It doesn't mean we're weak. It doesn't mean we're gonna like it's an investment. Like you when you said at the very beginning, oh, can I pay for this program? And we're holding back in investing in ourselves, but so accustomed to spend like for all this. I maybe dare to say even unnecessary things that are very instant gratification instead of making an investment into a program, a coach, a mentor, and then having that support and change literally one's reality, literally one's life, literally one's financial situation. And I've seen that in my own life. Like, thank you so much for sharing this very vulnerable piece of your story, like that moment of not being able to pay for the gas, wanting to meet a friend. Like, wow. And from my story as well, like there was this deep imprint, just very similar to yours, that like if there's money involved, then there's going to be fighting, and there's a burden. I'm a burden instead of bringing joy. What every child wants to bring is joy and peace and beauty to the family. And then we see our parents struggling, right? They need to pay the bills. And then you hear one comment. And maybe you hear, like, for me, it was like one comment that changed this reality, this mind or the money reality for a very long time. And this one comment was like, wow, I have to pay the glasses and the braces, and it's all so expensive. Like it was one comment and in one moment that went so deeply inside the unconscious. And then the interpretation was, well, I'm so expensive, so I don't want to be a burden to anyone ever. And so then unrooting those beliefs, like the way you did it, and I've also gone into those money mindset beliefs. It's incredible when we discover how one belief dictates our life, our relationship to money, or in every other scenario as well, literally. But especially with money, like it's incredible how one belief that we can unroot, neutralize, and change, and then the field opens up, and suddenly we're able to receive the abundance that is here. And like you said so beautifully, money wants to flow. She's a goddess. She wants to be met. She wants to be loved. In Sanskrit, money means a jewel. And so when I heard that the first time, I was like, oh yeah, money, it's a jewel. Like so probably the English word came from money, the jewel. We have a jewel, and then it's a precious jewel, and we can enjoy it. And like you said, then it's a giving and a receiving. And so the money is not the problem, but it's the culture. We don't have education, we don't have culture around money, how money gets to be shared and bring wealth to all beings. And I love to recognize also or see how like money, when we use the language of money, it's very watery, very I love to compare it to water, that ever flowing, giving, uh, nurturing aspect. Like the money itself, not in its sense, but it's a means to then enjoy the and enjoy be in the abundance or wealth that we manifest through our love and care, like you said so beautifully. Like we're giving money for a service or a beautiful cup of ceramic that was beautifully created by someone, and it's an appreciation. I appreciate what you share here with me. So yeah, thank you for in sharing and helping women with and men and women especially, because if the money would be in the hands of women, and even in the Veda, like, and in the Vedic tradition, it is actually the woman that holds the bank account and holds the money, because originally she knows how to share the wealth, and she's deeply intimately connected with the universal values. She like her heart is, if she's not completely frozen and shut down and masculinized in the unhealthy way, like if a woman is open and in touch with her intuition and with the wisdom of the earth, then she feels, she perceives, she knows what is needed in order to flourish together, like caring for all beings, for the children, for the animals. And so then that natural sense is there that, okay, what is given, it gets to be shared. And so if the wealth is more in the hands of women, I definitely see how that would improve all our lives. So I share and put my prayers into your vision of
Let's create the
eradicating
conscious
poverty.
billionaires.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
the women and the men who are,
absolutely.
dharmakas who want to do the best. Just thinking about how much good we could do with abundance. Yeah, it's a beautiful way to think. It's a beautiful way for us to move forward when, so many people are spending so much time thinking about war and destruction and negativity and greed, and like how can we blossom? How can we make
Mhm.
this world better? How can we reverse some of what's happened? Yeah, that's and money, abundance holds is a very powerful energy, and when used correctly and used in any way, it can be very powerful. It can do a lot quite quickly. So that would be, yeah, that's a passion of mine to
Mm,
help women get there, to
mm.
to start the way. So we're we're in the direction, but it's a journey. It's a journey,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. And like maybe to end with, I love our conversation, and we can have a episode 2, but I would love to like just end on this note. Like, I know there have been some question marks, I guess, in the coaching industry, because there are millions and billions that are flowing around. And like you said, yes, wonderful. Anyone and everyone can become a billionaire, and let it be so. And adding that part, like, yes, let it be in conscious dharmic people, because I do also see, like, in the coaching industry, and then there's this women's movement, which I've dipped my toes into. I'm not going to name now any names, but some women that have, made millions in the coaching industry and are promoting actually exactly that. Like, let there be more wealth in the hands of women. And I champion that in every possible way. And I also see how these women, and I know from my own story, like growing up in this Western competitive myth and being sold that you need to have the Louis Vuitton bag and the Gucci bag and the $20,000 diamond ring and the dream of flying in a private jet for that costs $400,000 per flight. Like, we grew up in as many, maybe not in India, but in many Western culture, like in the society, those values were championed, right? To have the money, to have the brands, to have expensive goods, basically. And that means that you have made it in the world. You get attention. You're a successful person. You're worthy of love, etc. But the truth is, like the truth is that underneath all of that, there's emptiness. There's a deep incapacity of self-acceptance. I would dare to say even like self-hatred, because no matter how much you're going to accumulate, it will never be enough. And I do champion the reimagination and the making up for what we didn't get in childhood. So for example, like when we do inner child work, and then the girl wanted to have her, just making this up now, like a pink dress. And for whatever reason, you were never able to get this pink dress. And then you would go and buy with your little one this pink dress so that you can kind of fulfill that desire and that beautiful need of that little girl to have the pink dress, and let her grow and integrate into the adult that you are, right? And I see that being extended to the $400,000 private jet. And again, like I'm like, yes, okay, that was your girl's dream. And amazing you could fulfill that. And at the same time, I I would be what I would love to see. Like it's all okay. That can all happen. There's no judgment and everyone can do whatever they want with the money. But then when I hear these women like really saying, like, let the money be in the hands of women so that they can do more good. And if I would see a woman who does that and has the million, but then maybe instead of now buying the private jet and still fulfill all her dreams, because you can still fulfill the childhood dreams, like in so many ways, but maybe then empower the women, this huge cycle or circle, not cycle, the huge circle of women that she's inspiring to also make millions. And imagine like these women then say, okay, now let's create more Bumi Sehats. Bumi Sehat is a natural birthing clinic, for example, founded by Ibu Robin here in the Philippines, in Indonesia, where all women can come and birth freely, safely, where the needs and the desires are honored of the women. Like, and then all that money would, for example, be put into birthing clinics. Like that for me would be like, wow, that would really be the revolution of women. Yeah, I just put that out there. I felt like speaking about the money mindset and money abundance, like I'm all about, yes, healing that and neutralizing that myth that there's not enough for anyone. And if I have it, then she cannot have it. That's all nonsense. And at the same time, also maybe calling a little bit the influence that is still there, even for those very successful coaching business women, like being still influenced by that original imprint of needing to have all these diamonds and the Ferrari and the private jets. That
Yeah.
it's still like, I dare to say, then it hasn't fully, in my perception, integrated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Well, I
yeah,
feel like it's part of your maturing, right? It's part of your maturity as you go, okay, well now I've got some posh things. I've been in a first class flight. I've got all the Gucci but I still feel empty
yeah,
inside. And then that's when they would grow. Like I feel like we all come to this growing in different ways, this
yeah,
maturity. And people who are very spiritual, we grow in that spirituality and in our freedom. And if we're grounded in it, we know what's dharma, what's the right thing to do. Knowing that you're full, whole, complete, and all of that is beautiful. We've got great values, but often we don't have any money because we haven't spent time focusing on it. So we're not in a position to do the most good. We have all these ideas, but we actually haven't created abundance. And then there's people who have spent their whole life making money and creating money, but they don't have that grounding or that spirituality or understanding, and so they may fritter away, and then they start looking, well, what's going to make me happy, and eventually they hopefully they find it.
yeah.
So if you start as we do and kind of have that deep spiritual understanding, and we grow and we learn how to create abundance, and we can do some amazing things. And there's,
Absolutely.
as you say, there's no judgment on anyone.
No.
And like, yeah, like a kid wants to have a pink dress, let them
Yeah,
have the pink dress. Maybe you want a pink Ferrari, have a
yeah,
pink Ferrari, right?
totally.
Like,
So you want the Gucci black habit,
like,
like, yeah,
have
there's nothing
it,
wrong with it.
enjoy it, just
Absolutely.
go crazy about it. And eventually you'll go, oh, okay, what next? Maybe there's
Exactly.
something more. And that in itself that's the journey that
Yeah.
we're on. So yeah, so it's beautiful, and it's also really, because very quickly we fall back into our wrong attitudes, is that like money's limited, or
Yeah.
that well, if we spend it on that, you're not spending it in this. Well,
Yeah.
just if you let go of all that judgment and realize that it's infinite, it's abundance, it's our birthright if we want it, and we can create amazing things with it, and we're free to do whatever we want with it.
Yeah.
So letting go of all that and just kind of stepping into, like, creating in a really beautiful way for what's good
Yeah.
for you, not feeling bad to just enjoy it and have fun. It's Yeah, that's so what, part in that book is this: money wants you to have fun. Like, just line up, just have some fun, and actually, spending it and enjoying it is what could create more. It's a very specific energy to it. So yeah, as soon as we start to judge ourselves and go, oh no, I shouldn't have done that, or no, I'm a bad person, or oh no, there's not enough, or that's when we actually block abundance. So just being open and joyful about it and welcoming is where the energy and abundance, I feel, is. I'm learning. I'm a student. I'm learning as well. So yeah, it's a lifelong learning. But
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's like you yeah, it's cycles, and then understanding the beliefs and neutralizing them and creating the beliefs that are really truthful in that sense, and then seeing the big spectrum, like having the whole vision. That's the grace when you have the spiritual teachings as well, and the dharma and the values. And then it goes so beautifully hand in hand. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Swami Dayananda, he's done so much for the world, like his charitable foundation, and when we look at his life, it just blows you away. He was just constantly doing things, constantly helping, constantly
yeah,
connecting with the UN, and just doing, creating charities to do just whatever needed to be done on the ground. And, because he was so grounded in knowledge and knowing who he was, and what was right and what was wrong, we could always trust that his foundation and his charities were, paka is a
yeah,
is a
yeah,
Hindi
yes,
English
yeah,
word as well. Uh,
absolutely. Yeah, so
so
beautiful
so
to
that
have those examples. Mm.
those
Yeah,
role models.
role models, exactly. Yeah, and it's also like it's a phases. I don't know if it's the right word, but etape, like when we start to unroot this money wound and the idea of lack or the I'm not worthy, like then it's so important to just do that foundational work, what you're saying. Like there's nothing wrong and the money wants us to enjoy, and there is enough, like all this foundational groundwork. And what I was referring to is then like for the people who have done all that work and then have gone the next phase, or climbed the ladder the ladder, if you can say that. So and then you have kind of cracked the codes, and then it's like
Mm,
in that department, because I'm speaking from my own experience and what I've seen, like the full circle of the beginning, the groundwork. I don't really like the word beginning, but for the lack of a better word, like you start with like the awareness. Wow, I have money issues. I know I have so much to share, and I have difficulty in charging. I have difficulty to ask. I have difficult to say in the price of what I offer. Like that's all like the beginning of understanding. Like there's money issues in the sense. I'm speaking now for those that are listening and are coaches and mentors, and then you work, like you do all that foundational work, and then you've attracted suddenly what you wanted. Like then you have the clients, the money has come in, and then you can expand because you realize, oh, I can have more, and I can have more, and I can have more. And I'm
mm,
like what I meant before, just talking kind of to those whoever those are, that like that's where then like the values and the culture, for me, that is my value only, is then so valuable to bring that in, because it's so easy then to also get lost or sold into something and that something is the belief that that is going to make you happy, basically, or is going to give you ultimately what you really want. And that's not true, as we know. Like ultimately, that's nothing ever will give us what we want outside of
Yeah.
ourselves, other than ourselves. And so for me, that was also a big lesson, because like I went into the like big high ticketing coaching industry and I spent a lot of money. And it was great. I learned my lessons, and I just had another client who came back from a huge event in America, and like it's about $1 million and $1 billion, and then how to sell and how to create more and more and more. And so I just want to bring that for those that are listening, that like what we are sharing here is so valuable and so needed and so applicable, and we're so all worthy of having the abundance and having of anything that we want. But I wanted to bring in that piece, so to neutralize it from its fluffiness, because there is so much
Yeah.
fluffiness out there in the world as
Yeah.
well when it comes to this topic. I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
a beautiful point that we have to be so grounded in the knowing who you are and knowing that you are happiness, you are joy, that many of us think that the money will make us happy, and
yeah,
that is the big mistake, really. And that money is a sign of success. That's another interesting thing that we very
yeah.
easily think this world, but it's not true.
No,
You're a
no.
success. Who's judging success? And but yeah, it's one of those things that's very deeply ingrained in our kind
Mm,
of Western society. Oh, how much money you're making, and
yeah,
you must be doing well, and you're a success. But is that successful? Because there's so many other parts to your life. There's relationships, there's family, there's spirituality, there's, connected to yourself. There's like, what cost would you put in an orgasm? Like, how would you
yeah,
value those?
yeah.
There's, life is so rich without focusing on the money. And at the
And
same
yet,
time,
exactly.
and yet, we
Yeah,
have every right to have money.
exactly.
Let's
Yeah,
make it. Let's have it.
yeah.
Let's spend it. It's
And if you
like,
really want
yeah.
to heal the money wound, then you, for some time, you really get to focus on the money. Like then
Mm,
there's a moment where it's really like, okay, now I gotta really look at the account. I really get look at the number. I really get to do the rituals, right? I remember the one ritual I did was like taking money into my hand. And because I grew up with like money's dirty, like don't touch money, money's dirty. So I've like literally like having like so many rituals. And one of them was like taking money and just like, and some of you may be freaking
rub
out,
it out your hand.
literally smeared it on my body. I'm just like, oh, this is wells, and just went through the somatic of neutralizing the disgust that I had towards
Beautiful.
that money. And it was amazing. Yeah. And then even doing the sex magic with money. And so there's so many amazing witch rituals to do for money and with money. And I love it all. And I love to just bring in that profound piece. So
Thank you for
yeah.
sharing that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because like I say, we get so hung up about it
Yeah.
and so obsessed with it, and I think it's almost like that when you don't have it, when you don't feel like you have it, and there's lots of very interesting contradictions where people can be very wealthy but still feel very poor
Yeah.
and still feel like they haven't got enough and still very stressed about money, and people can really not have a lot and just make ends meet, but still feel very abundant,
Yeah.
just feel very relaxed
Yeah.
and knowing that we'll be looked after, knowing that Davy has us, knowing that money is our friend. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a huge topic and something very relevant to everybody. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for exploring
Mm.
this deeper. And what one of my favorite things that you taught us about Lakshmi is, like, our hands like this, one
Yeah.
hand giving, one hand receiving, and it's this beautiful flow. So
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
gorgeous.
thank you so much, Ananda, Razwana, with honoring Lakshmi in all her ways. Like this was a very This is an abundant conversation. We covered so much, and there's so much more to be covered, and so many nuances that we can discuss. I love it that we can dive into all the subtleties and and share this with our community. And if people want to work, play, collaborate, hire you, work with you as a life coach, holistic life coach, how can they do that in the best way? How can they reach you?
Probably the easiest way is to find me on Facebook or Instagram. You can message me as well.
Okay.
It's Razwana Leonard on Facebook. Because I'm verified and I couldn't put my spiritual name down. So
Yeah.
yeah. So Razwana Leonard is
Perfect.
me. Yeah, you can find me looking like the, black curly hair. So that's me with a Scottish accent. There's not another.
We will put the links also in the description. Yeah.
Perfect.
Is there anything else you would like to share or invite, or any of your programs and offerings, or anything else that is still there in your heart before we close?
Yeah, I just, I have, yeah, like I've been receiving intuition to create programs, and that's what I've been doing this year is creating. I've got something called the Grounded Goddess
Mm.
program for women who are kind of relatively early in their stage of personal development and quite, they've spent their lives giving to the families, and they're like, what about me now? And so that's one group of people that I've been intuitively drawn to help really in this. It's so satisfying. We'll maybe talk about the trees on another
Yeah,
occasion,
let's
but
do that another time.
yeah, I have so much gratitude to you. Thank you so much, Sarah. You've been a huge inspiration in my life, and I loved being in your container. And yeah, I just love everything about you. And thank you for having me here. It's just
Mhm.
been a huge pleasure.
Mhm.
Blessings.
Thank you so much. I really loved our conversation, and hearing and listening to you. It's been an absolute pleasure and joy to hear your wisdom shining through. And I know there's so many more stories and so many more topics and so many more life lessons that you have gone through and that you can share. And I'd love to, yeah, invite you for another round and explore further. We had so many topics that we said we wanted to cover at the beginning. And I love that, yeah, we can meet again and dive deeper.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you so
beautiful.
much. And thank you everyone who's been listening and watching. And it means so much that you're here, part of this community. Please leave any comments, anything that touched you or questions that you have. You can leave the comments. You can write to Sharada at devischool.info. And if you feel that this conversation was inspiring or can help another human being in your life, please share this conversation, share the podcast, and wishing you a wonderful evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for being you, and until next time. Devi Temple is my virtual altar. It is where you join an incredible community of people that have a deep value for spiritualizing their life and discovering the true purpose of life, which is freedom, and also live a life that is free. The Devi Temple is where I teach weekly the Vedic teachings, as well as do I host monthly Devi Temple experiences where you get to come to the altar, come to the temple as you are, and connect to the divine and invoke the qualities and energies that are always within us and in this creation. I want to take this opportunity to invite you warmly to the Devi Temple. That is our virtual altar. It is a membership that you can join at any time and meet an incredible community of souls that have a deep value for Dharma, to spiritualize their life and bring meaning and sacred beauty into their life and into their relationships, and see that life is to be celebrated. And it is where we meet every week for the Vedic teachings that I unfold the teachings that give freedom, that help us see that we are lovable as we are, that we are the source of security and happiness, and everything that we want is already here. It is a mirror in the form of words, and guided by my 20 years of experiences and living in a Vedic culture, it is my deepest honor and privilege and joy to share these teachings on a weekly basis. There we also chant together, we meditate, and once a month we have the Devi Temple experience where we connect to the field, which means there is no structure, there is no really a curriculum. It's simply you come as you are, and then we meet and we connect to the temple energy. And there we invoke the priestesses and priests and priestess that we are, and invite the different deities, the different energies to come and use us as a vessel so that we can embody the emotions and qualities that we are either wanting to release or either wanting to invoke into our life. We also have monthly sharing circles that we call Devi circles, where you get to share what is alive for you in your life and be in a safe space, in a courageous space, to be seen and held and supported through prayer, through mantras, and by the community itself. In the Devi Temple, you also have access to 700 plus hours of pre-recorded material. It's basically a well of wells of the timeless teachings that includes the teachings of the limitless self. You have access to courses like the value of values, Vedic chanting, Shanti prayers, Sanskrit. You have access to the Shakti Awakening course, where I introduce the different goddesses like Saraswati and Durga and Lakshmi and Annapurneshwari, and you will learn mantras, as well as you have access to the Priestess Initiation course and access to many more courses, all the mistress and master classes that I have led. You have access to sex magic and different embodiment rituals. This is an incredible opportunity for you to get to know my teachings, to get to know my community. It is for people who are just beginning, but it is also for people who have been on the spiritual journey for a long time. It is a place where everyone is welcomed as they are. It is a sanctuary. And the great thing is you can join from anywhere in the world because it's all happening online. From my heart to yours, deepest gratitude for your presence. May you follow your wildest dreams, live your highest purpose, and expand into the infinite, because that's what you are.